भक्ति जनन जेतन पालन कोरी। कृष्ण बसती बसती बोली परम आदर बड़ी। घोर आमाजे सब स्थाने कोरलो भ्रमण रंगे। से सब स्थान हेरी बो आमी प्रणयी भक्त संगे। मृदंग वाद्य सुनिते मन अवसर सदा जाचे। मृदंग सुनिते मन अवसर सदा जाचे। गौरविहित कीर्तन सुनि आनंद हृदय नाचे। जुगल मूर्ति देखिया मोरा परमानंद होया। प्रसाद सेवा करिते होया सकल प्रपंच जया। हे दीन गृहे भजन देखी गृहे ते गोलोक भाय। चरण सिधु देखिया गंगा सुख ना सीमा पाया। तुलसी देखी जुड़ाए प्राण माधव तोषणी जाने। गौर प्रिय साक सेवने जीवन सार्थक मानी। भक्ति विनोद कृष्ण भजन अनुकूल पाय जाहा। भक्ति प्रति दिवसे परम सुखे स्वीकार करो ये ताहा। शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल। शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Savior of the whole world, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya, publisher of many transcendental books, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada, establisher of more than 108 Krishna temples around the world on every inhabitant continent, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada transplanting the purest of cultures to the worst of the worlds ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Nama om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This bhajan is written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's a very beautiful bhajan from the book Sharanagati. It's pure enough even if we don't understand the translation, but it's even more powerful if we actually understand the beauty of these words that we just sang. I will read the translation. Dust from the lotus feet of pure devotees is conducive to devotional service, while service to the Vaishnavas is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. I observe with great care the holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, for they are the mother of devotion. As my dwelling place, I choose with greatest of reverence and love the transcendental abode of Sri Krishna. All those places where my Lord Gaurasundar traveled for pastimes, I will visit in the company of loving devotees. My mind always begs for the opportunity to hear the music of the mridanga. Upon hearing the kind of kirtan ordained by the Lord by Lord Gaurachandra, my heart dances in ecstasy. By beholding the deity forms of the divine couple, Sri Radha-Krishna, I feel the greatest joy. By honoring the Lord's prasad, I conquer over all worldly illusions. Sri Radha Madan Mohan ki, Sri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Devi Sri Sudarshan ki, Sri Gauranitai ki. Golok Vrinda, by beholding the deity forms of the divine couple, Sri Radha-Krishna, I feel the greatest joy. By honoring the Lord's prasad, I conquer over all worldly illusions. Golok Vrindavan appears in my home whenever I see the worship and service of Lord Hari going on there. Upon seeing the Ganges, which is a river of nectar emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord, my happiness knows no bounds. The sight of the holy Tulsi tree soothes my soul, for I know she gives pleasure to Lord Krishna. By honoring Shak, a green leafy vegetable preparation, a dear favorite of Lord Chaitanya, I consider life worthwhile. Whatever Bhakti Vinod obtains that is conducive for the service of Sri Krishna, he accepts every day with the greatest of joy. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Adhyanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Before I begin, I offer my obeisance at the lotus feet of one of the greatest stalwarts in the history of all humankind, Srila Anandamaya Prabhu, sitting there on the chair. He has dedicated his life to Srila Prabhupada for 50 plus years. So every single word that he speaks about or he writes about in relation to Krishna is extremely potent and extremely powerful. Please, those of you who live in Hyderabad, know that devotees all over the world are hankering for his association. So please don't take his association for granted. Please get his association as much as possible. Okay. We are going to read from Srila Prabhupada's Lilamritam. Okay. Who doesn't have a Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita? Who has one? Okay. Does anybody know that there's a book called Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita that exists? Okay. Here it is. There are 7 volumes in the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. It is written by one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, Srila Satswarup Das Goswami Maharaj, and who lives in New York State now. He's not very active in the management or the active in ISKCON, but he's definitely a sadhu. He has written some very wonderful things, but this is not the only Lilamrita that's available. Many spiritual masters have written, many disciples of Srila Prabhupada have written. One of them is available here. It's called Srila Prabhupada in South India. Okay, anybody who does not have these books, okay, is requested to meet. Go to the bookstore right on the side there. Okay, and get yourself at least one book of Srila Prabhupada today. Okay, one before you leave. Okay, one. And if you already have the entire set, then I want you to please get one at least and give to someone else. Because nobody knows about Srila Prabhupada in the world, as we see from all the nonsense going on every night now. Okay, nobody knows about what is transcendence. Nobody knows about what is spiritual life. People are completely misidentifying with their bodies and destroying their lives completely. So it's our duty, those of us who have come in contact with Srila Prabhupada, to protect them. Okay, so we're going to read this. It's a chapter entitled A Threat Against ISKCON. In July, Prabhupada visited San Francisco for the 4th annual ISKCON Ratha-yatra. How manyth? 4th. It was the biggest festival ever, with 10,000 people joining in the procession through Golden Gate Park to the beach. Now, Devakinandan Prabhu, who is one of the leaders in ISKCON, he says that the exchange rate of bhakti is approximately similar to the exchange rate of the dollar to the rupee. So, for every one devotee that you see here, for every one devotee that you see in San Francisco, you have to calculate 80 devotees in India. Okay? So, 10,000 means how many times 80? 8 lakh people were in that Ratha-yatra if it was conducted in India. Okay? So, that was the scale of it. It was the biggest festival ever, with 10,000 people joining in the procession through Golden Gate Park to the beach. Prabhupada felt ill and didn't join the parade until about midway. He danced in the road before the carts as 100 disciples encircled him. How many disciples? 100 times? 8,000. Okay? Multiply, every time you hear numbers about anything in the West, you multiply it by how much? 80. Okay? 8,000 disciples encircled him, chanting and playing kartals and mridangas. Afterward, Prabhupada wanted to ride in the cart, just as he has done the year before. But some of his disciples restrained him. They stopped their spiritual master from doing what he wanted to do. A gang of hoodlums, they said, had caused trouble earlier, and for Prabhupada to ride on the cart might be dangerous. He disagreed, but finally relented and rode in his car to the beach. One of the reasons why we read books like the Srila Prabhupada Lilamritam is because the scripture is very, very subtle. And there can be easily, if you see two devotees fighting with each other, for example, never happens, but if you ever see two devotees fighting each other, you will find that both of them are quoting from Srila Prabhupada's books or from the scripture to support their particular position and fighting against each other, right? So actually Shastra is extremely difficult to understand. It's like the edge of a razor. And this is the reason why we know that Tarka Apratishtha, Sutayo Vibhinna, we cannot actually understand the Supreme Absolute Truth simply by studying the scripture. Therefore, Mahajanayena Gata Sapantha, we know that Srila Prabhupada has made it, so we follow Srila Prabhupada's example, not necessarily copy him or imitate him, but we follow his example and thinking about why he did what he did. So he disagreed with his disciples, but because it was a public situation, he didn't want to create a scene, so he actually went along with whatever his disciples were saying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also did the same thing. When the devotees said, don't go to Vrindavan, he listened to them. And he did not force it. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swarat, completely independent. But he also listened to his devotees. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada also listened to their devotees. Sometimes, even with this disagreement, we can do whatever the other devotee is very forcefully asking us to do in the moment and then figure it out later, not create a conflict right in the middle of the whole situation. He disagreed but finally relented and rode in his car to the beach. At the Family Dog Auditorium, you can see how transcendental things are in San Francisco before Srila Prabhupada arrived there. The Family Dog Auditorium on the beach. Prabhupada began his lecture. Quote, I want to thank you all for coming. Although I am not well, I felt it my responsibility to come as you have so kindly attended Lord Jagannath's Ratha-yatra festival. I felt it my duty to come and see you and address you. He was not in the mood that as he's doing anybody a favor, whereas he was doing us a favor. Whenever a Vaishnava comes, they don't need to come really, but they come just to do us a favor, but they think that it's their duty and they are doing it just to serve the Lord and serve the devotees who the advanced devotee considers every devotee as their master. Every even person who walks in the door as their master. So this is Prabhupada's mood. Prabhupada constantly said to his disciples many times that you are all sent by my spiritual master. So he was respecting them as if he was respecting Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And that's the mood of the spiritual master. But their duty is to accept service. So externally they have to kind of maintain that, but internally they are feeling. Later in his apartment in San Francisco, Prabhupada complained that he had not been allowed to ride in the cart. As leader of the Hare Krishna movement, he should have ridden on the cart. Not only had his disciples refused him, but several disciples had prominently ridden on the cart as if in his place. It's a big epidemic, right? There's a great Acharya. Vaisheshika Prabhu says, there's a brahmachari who manages to attend Mangalarti 3 times in a row. And then he feels like he can correct the 80-year-old brahmachari who has been practicing for the last 45 years. So sometimes this happens, and we are tempted to do this to senior devotees who have been practicing for a long time. But actually what happens is that such disciples might be in the mood of taking the spiritual master's opulence. And this is a thing that affects many disciples, and we have to very carefully guard against that. They had prominently ridden on his cart as if in his place. Srila Prabhupada is riding in the car, but we are here. Come, we will give you the mercy. That was the mood that Satswarup Maharaj is conveying here. Prabhupada asked the many temple presidents assembled for the Ratha-yatra to meet and discuss forming a governing body to manage ISKCON. I was just in Mayapur where we visited the places of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, visited the specific place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote this song, we just sang, etc. And we visited the various Gaudiya mission, Gaudiya mutts in and around um, um, the parikrama, and we saw that because they had not followed Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's instructions to form a governing body commission and collectively govern their Gaudiya mission, the whole Gaudiya mission has kind of fallen apart. Like you'll see 3 people in the gigantic temple. Like, can you imagine the Samadhi Mandir of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati? Nobody is there except devotees from ISKCON, a few of us, whoever are there. And whenever there's a big crowd, you have to assume ISKCON is doing a yatra there. The Gaudiya mission preaching is really broken. And many of the Gaudiya mission temples, we respect them a lot, but we see that they just come and try to basically encroach into ISKCON congregations. Wherever there's an ISKCON congregation, they want to come and do their program. Why don't you do your own preaching? But that has gone away because they did not follow the instructions of their Acharya. So Srila Prabhupada also, there was a risk of ISKCON happening the same way. Split up, New York ISKCON, Miami ISKCON, San Francisco ISKCON. Already it has happened a few times. But Srila Prabhupada wanted to discuss forming a governing body to manage ISKCON. The devotees met and then reported. Look at this. Okay, Srila Prabhupada specifically said governing body commission. The devotees met and then they reported that they thought only one of them should be elected the chief representative. What does that mean? Somebody wanted to be the next Acharya. Right? They wanted to be the next Acharya. They did not want to collectively manage and keep Srila Prabhupada in the center. They wanted to be the next Acharya. So that can happen here also, right? It can happen anywhere. We have to be very careful. And they hadn't understood the strength should be in a group, Prabhupada said, not in a single individual. Right? We are all about systems and processes. We are not a personality cult. Right? ISKCON is not a personality cult. People come, people do their service, people move on to other services. Right? I don't take anything with me when I'm moving on to my next service destination. I came in empty-handed into this particular service destination. I'm going empty-handed too. Right? So that should be our mood. The strength should be in a group, in the body, the GBC body, the temple council, the managing, the group of devotees who are managing. That's how it should be. The moment it becomes in the hands of a single person, there'll be all sorts of issues, as many of our temples around the world have experienced, in fact. The strength, since he was ISKCON's founder Acharya, what need was there for another single leader? He asked them to meet again and come to the right conclusion, right? So Acharya gently instructing. Returning to Los Angeles, Prabhupada announced that he would award several of his disciples the sannyas order. Srila Prabhupada is extremely strategic. The devotee community excitedly prepared for the festival. The sannyasis, Prabhupada said, would leave their temples to travel and preach. But it was an unprecedented change for ISKCON, a sensation. And the devotees loved it, right? So Srila Prabhupada was doing for a specific reason. Not that he necessarily thought that everybody who took sannyas on that day was actually qualified to take sannyas. And some of them proved that they could not maintain it. But Srila Prabhupada had a particular goal in mind. He wanted to send them out in the world, not become another Gaudiya mission, stay inside, keep fighting each other, trying to become the Acharya. Right? Although Prabhupada was awarding sannyas to some of his most advanced disciples, he also said the sannyas initiation was to purify these disciples and to rid them of their entanglement in material desires. He said the initiation for the end of July, 2 weeks later. One day in Los Angeles, a visiting devotee, speaking with Prabhupada in his room, humbly asked why Prabhupada hadn't answered his questions in a recent letter. Prabhupada remembered no such letter. Inquiring from his secretary, Prabhupada discovered that his secretary often showed incoming letters to certain temple leaders who, at their discretion, would sometimes withhold letters they considered petty or too disturbing. Prabhupada was outraged. How dare they come between him and his other disciples? How could they presume to make such decisions on their own? How could a disciple censor his spiritual master's mail? This was a serious offense, right? So in other words, what these immature devotees were doing, and we should be careful never to do such a thing again, is coming between a disciple and their spiritual master. Everybody should have, as much as possible, a direct relationship with their spiritual master. Sometimes it's not practically possible. Jamataka Maharaj has more than 100,000 disciples, but you can see that each of his disciples actually have a direct relationship with their spiritual master. Right? There are many such spiritual masters. Just because they have a lot of disciples doesn't mean they don't have a direct relationship. Right? Every single disciple of Gopal Krishna Maharaj, any spiritual master within ISKCON, feel like they have a direct relationship. And when they don't feel like they have a direct relationship, they are most likely to leave, loop. The spiritual master's power and their mercy actually keeps the disciple in line. So we should never come between that. We should never try to insert ourselves, whether we might be a mentor or a Bhakti Vriksha leader, a temple commander, temple president even. Never come between a disciple and their spiritual master. This is a very important instruction. Although Prabhupada reprimanded the devotees involved, the incident only increased the already heavy burden on his mind. Why is Satguru Maharaj saying, although Prabhupada reprimanded? Normally, if there was a small mistake, like somebody put salt in the charanamrit instead of the sugar, or like somebody made a relatively simple mistake, or the servant did not show up on time, or something was not clean, or some neglect was there, Srila Prabhupada would reprimand the devotee and the incident would be gone from his mind. It's not like Prabhupada is remembering the last 15 things you did wrong. Right? When he meets you as a pure devotee, he meets with a potential pure devotee. Like no grudges. Right? My spiritual master, Srila Sankarshan Prabhu, said, don't bear grudges, they leave smudges. Right? So Srila Prabhupada embodied that, never bore any grudges. But the Swarup Maharaj is saying, although Prabhupada reprimanded the devotees involved, the incident only increased the already heavy burden on his mind. So if those who don't recall, look at the video of the last reading by Anand Bhai Prabhu. He will explain the other things that happened here. We cannot get into all of those details. But really, everybody should read the Prabhupada Lilamritam for themselves. Because our goal is to have, even though we might be initiated by other spiritual masters within ISKCON, Prabhupada is our primary Shiksha Guru, our primary instructing spiritual master. So everybody should have a personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada, and that will keep us strong. Again, the thought of spiritual disease transmitted in letters from India disturbed him. Who was writing letters from India? The devotees were meeting the Gaudiya mission devotees who were taking their same separatist mentality. And yesterday, Jagadishwar Prabhu was giving the Bhagavatam class and he was talking about the separatist mentality. If you haven't caught the class, look at it on video. He was talking about the separatist mentality. This separatist mentality was flowing from the Gaudiya Mutt into ISKCON, into all the devotees who were going there for parikrama, and it happens even now. One so-called Babaji was preaching to me in Samadhi of Sanatana Goswami, formerly a disciple of Gopal Krishna Maharaj. I thought he was so silly because he said 4 mistakes in 5 minutes. Right? Not according to our acharyas. I did not dare to contradict him in front of Srila Sanatana Goswami. I just maintained the peace and walked out. But there was another ISKCON devotee from Chennai who was really enamored by this person. And he will be very careful. Anybody who has left Prabhupada is not worth following. He found no one close to him in Los Angeles with whom he could speak confidentially about this serious minimization of the spiritual master. Minimization of the spiritual master is an offense. Right? We have to always keep the spiritual master in the center. Prabhupada, our spiritual master, we have to keep them in center, at least in our heart. As his anxiety affected him bodily, he fell ill and he stopped eating. You can see how much he was concerned about this Krishna consciousness movement, that he physically was ill because of these problems, not that he's continuing and carrying on, enjoying his facilities. Right? Karandara says, one of the early leaders in ISKCON, great devotee, I'd heard some things, but the spirit of, quote, going on, it had all been glossed over. People wanted to keep the peace. They didn't want to rock the boat. And Prabhupada didn't talk much about it either. One time though, I was in his room right after the sannyasis had left Los Angeles. He asked me if I understood what had gone on. I said, well, I think so. End quote. But I didn't really know very much. Prabhupada was speaking indirectly at this point. He was not speaking directly as to what the problem was, because he was hoping he could subtly resolve it instead of bringing out the whole thing and bringing out his hammer. Right? That's also Acharya's mercy. They don't necessarily bring out the hammer right away. If you see a devotee making mistake, please don't bring out the hammer. Be subtle, be very kind and gentle with them, just like Prabhupada was being. And after that, the hammer can come out if necessary. At that time, the devotees who were going out on Sankirtan were in the alleyway chanting, and Prabhupada was at his desk. Hearing the Kirtan, he turned back, looking in the direction of the devotees below his window, and smiled. Then he turned to me. Karandar Prabhu is saying this. They are innocent, he said. Do not involve them in this business. Right? So, we might have whatever is happening, in certain management situations or certain administrative situations, etc. But all the guests and all the devotees walking into the door, we don't have to involve them in every single thing that is going on. Don't gossip about issues that are going on in the temple to anybody else. Right? Keep it within the family, and people who need to know should know. That's it. Nobody else should actually. Don't spread this, especially not on the internet. It cost me 4 years of my devotional life reading all this nonsense on the internet from 2004 to 2007. 4, 5, 6, 7, 4 years. I was caught up in this on the internet. The Ritviks are saying one thing, somebody else is saying one thing, the IRM is saying one thing. And I was like totally confused. Finally, I said, these people are not serving Prabhupada actually because they are not expanding the movement. I have to ignore it. The moment I ignored it in 2007, my spiritual life took off. So don't put it on the internet at all. Right? Don't increase it. Don't respond to it. Don't give it any energy. Any controversy on the internet, walk away. Right? Don't give it any strength. Don't give it any power. Because it will increase the Google search ranking if you do that. Right? Okay? Kalandar still didn't understand. And he wondered what not to involve them in. He had no idea. He's a senior leader, but he had no idea what Prabhupada was talking about. He did know, however, that a shadow was hanging over the heads of the sannyasis. Srila Prabhupada was not happy over the sannyasis' behavior. Srila Prabhupada requested 3 trusted disciples to come be with him in Los Angeles. He wanted his trusted people with him. Rupanuga says, the temple president and the founding temple president of ISKCON Buffalo, New York. Unfortunately, the temple is no longer active, but Rupanuga Prabhu is definitely a great devotee. I was in Buffalo and the phone rang. Someone said, Srila Prabhupada is on the telephone. I said, what? You're kidding. It wasn't Srila Prabhupada, but it was his servant, Devananda. Devananda said, Srila Prabhupada wants you to come to Los Angeles. I said, what's wrong? He said, well, he doesn't want. Then he said, Srila Prabhupada wants to talk about it now. So Srila Prabhupada got on the phone, and as soon as I heard him on the line, I paid my obeisances. Important, right? Spiritual master, when we hear from them, offer obeisances. Even if we are on the phone, get in the proper mood of receiving the spiritual master. Don't be casual. Then I said, Srila Prabhupada, what's wrong? He said, he knew it. Rupanuga Prabhu knew it, that something is wrong. You didn't know I was ill? I said, no. He said, you should come immediately. Then I said, Srila Prabhupada, let me speak to Devananda. I didn't know what was going on, so I asked Devananda, tell me what's going on. Then he said, Srila Prabhupada said he will talk with you when you come. He will explain everything. So even Devananda was not fully aware of what was going on. Bhagwan Das says, one day, another great devotee, one day after coming back from Sankirtan, I received a call from Rupanuga, who told me he was on his way to Los Angeles, having received a call from Prabhupada that there was some disturbance there. He couldn't tell me more, but he said he would call me when he returned. This set my mind reeling. I sat in the chair, hot and sweaty after coming back from Sankirtan. My mind absorbed in thinking of Prabhupada and what could be going on. The weather in Los Angeles is very similar to the weather in Mumbai or Mayapur. Very hot and sweaty weather, Los Angeles. Right? Or I don't know actually where Brahmananda Prabhu was at that time. But if it's Los Angeles, that's the weather. I called Los Angeles to talk to Prabhupada's secretary, Devananda, who told me he couldn't really say anything at that point. I was hoping somehow or other I would get more information of the situation, but after waiting for some time, I went in to take my shower. I was in the shower when all of a sudden someone banged on the door. Prabhupada is on the telephone. He wants to speak with you. I was sure there was some misunderstanding. How is it possible that the spiritual master could be on the telephone? Anyway, I ran out of the shower, all wet, and picked up the telephone and said, hello. There was a long pause. Then all of a sudden I heard Srila Prabhupada's voice on the other end. Bhagwan Das? Yes, I said, Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. How can I serve you? I was completely stunned. Then Prabhupada's voice came slowly on the phone. There are many things that you will do, but the first thing is that you must come here immediately. I said, of course, Srila Prabhupada, I will be there right away. And with that, we both hung up. I know who's going to do the aarti, who's going to lead the devotees on Sankirtan tomorrow, just go home. Srila says, come here immediately. He went immediately, right? And with that, we both hung up. I managed to gather the money together to take the flight to Los Angeles. They were poor. The devotees were very poor. The Toronto temple, for example, was purchased with 25-cent collections. They paid $500,000 in 25 cents. How much is that? That's 2 million single 25-cent pieces. Right? That is 2 million is 20 lakhs. 20 lakh 25 paise coins. Imagine collecting that on the street. That's what the devotees did in Toronto. Similarly, Bhagavan Prabhu also was not very rich. So he managed to gather the money together to take the flight to Los Angeles. He was not in Los Angeles at this time. And when I got on the plane in Detroit, Detroit, must be summer because it's July. A lot of water bodies there. Very hot. Same thing in Toronto, very hot. When I got on the plane in Detroit, it just so happened that Rupanuga was also on the same plane. We sat together and discussed what could possibly be happening in Los Angeles to cause Srila Prabhupada so much distress. This is the spiritual master's distress is our distress. We have to adopt that mood, that mentality. If my spiritual master is unhappy about something, then I am unhappy about that. Whether or not it affects me directly. If my spiritual master is unhappy about something, I might be fine in Hyderabad here, but if my spiritual master is distressed about something, I am distressed. When we arrived at the airport, Karandhar picked us up and told us that some of the older devotees, here it comes, had been plotting against Prabhupada. And that day, Prabhupada had given several of the men sannyas and sent them away to preach. He did not kick them away. He gave them a higher responsibility. Take sannyas, go out there and preach. Don't do all this politics stuff. Right? This was all quite amazing to me, and I didn't really know what to make of it. No internet, no Facebook. Nobody knew that people had received sannyas. No selfies, nothing. Right? When we came into Prabhupada's room, he looked distressed and was rubbing his head, complaining of the blood pressure that was caused by the conspiracy. Tamal Krishna Prabhu Maharaj later says, but here he was still a Grahastha. I had written Srila Prabhupada a lengthy letter from Paris describing how we wanted to expand our preaching efforts in Europe, and suddenly I received a telegram from His Divine Grace that said, quote, received your letter 26 July. Stop. Come Los Angeles immediately. Stop. End quote. I was quite surprised, and I remember disentangling myself that very day and leaving that night, even though I was in charge of the activities there. When I arrived in Los Angeles, I found Rupanuga, Bhagavan, Kirtanananda Swami and Karandhar. I was in a very enthusiastic, blissful mood from having done so much Sankirtan. Who goes out on Sankirtan regularly? There's a Sankirtan every morning in front of the temple. You can join that. Or you can also go out, book distribution on your own. The book distribution scores are reported every morning. Every devotee, if you want to feel the bliss of Krishna consciousness, go out on Sankirtan. Even if you go out yourself or two people. Who wants to go out on Sankirtan? All these devotees here are definitely sold. They're always on Sankirtan. I'm talking about everybody else who does not go out on Sankirtan. If you want to feel ecstatic, go out on Sankirtan. But these devotees were all in a heavy, somber mood, and they tried to explain to me what was going on. But actually, I could not get a very clear understanding. I had arrived in the late afternoon and I could not see Srila Prabhupada. Early the next morning, when Prabhupada was informed that I had arrived, he called for me before Mangalarti. I went up to his quarters, and when I came through the door, Prabhupada was sitting in his room with his head downward. He looked up and he appeared to be almost ill. He was gaunt. Gaunt means thin. And looked very sorrowful. He said meekly, just as I was bowing down, have they told you? Of course, I hadn't really understood everything, but in reply to his question, I said, yes, they have told me some things. And Prabhupada said, can you help me? So I answered, yes, Srila Prabhupada. He said, can you take me out of here? I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. Of course, here's another thing. He said, yes. Of course, I didn't feel that I could help Srila Prabhupada, but I could understand that I had to say yes. Be a yes man of the spiritual master. So when authority asks you, not just spiritual master, but all the spiritual masters, authority, all of the people who have been invested in authority, when they say, can you do this? You say yes and then figure it out. You may have never done it. You have to say, I don't know how to make chapatis, whatever. But say yes and figure it out. That's the goal of the Krishna consciousness movement. So can you help me? Yeah, can you take me? Of course, I didn't feel that I could help Srila Prabhupada, but I could understand. I had to say yes. How can you say no? I won't. But how far could I help? It's like lifting the heaviest object in the world. The Guru is so heavy, and yet I had to say yes. How can you help the spiritual master when the spiritual master is helping you? Right? The spiritual master is rescuing me from the cycle of birth and death. Spiritual master asks me, can you help me? And I say yes. But I'm thinking, how can I help you? You are the one who was helping me. Right? But so Prabhupada he made it clear. So Prabhupada asked me, where will you take me? And I said, well, we can go to Florida. He said, no, that is not far enough. Los Angeles to Florida is a 4-hour flight, right? But it's not far enough. Like that's from here to the Middle East. Not far enough. He said, no, that is not far enough. I said, I could take you to Europe. He said, no, that also will not be good. The problem may be there also. So anyway, we didn't conclude where to go at that time. But Prabhupada said, it's like a fire here. I must leave at once. It has become like a fire. Prabhupada confided in Rupanuga, Maha Krishna and Bhagavan about the various incidents. His name withheld, his name misprinted, his riding on in the Ratha-yatra. This is a quick summary. Srila Prabhupada's name was withheld, his Prabhupada was misprinted, right? His riding in the Ratha-yatra parade restricted. He mentioned these and other indications that certain persons wanted to move him into the background. Okay, Prabhupada, thank you for setting up the Krishna conscious movement. We can take it from here. Thank you very much. Okay, here, this is your spot here. Sit down here, we'll manage the rest. Right? No, Prabhupada is running it from the front. Right? So, Prabhupada confided, he mentioned that these are other indications that certain persons want to move in background out of the reach of his disciples. Only we have access to Srila Prabhupada. We'll make a closed club. He didn't want to stay in Los Angeles. He didn't want to stay in the United States. He didn't even want to go to Europe. He wanted to leave the arena of his disciples' offenses. But before leaving, he wanted to complete his plans for establishing a governing body to manage ISKCON. To this end, he dictated the following on July 28th. Okay? I, the undersigned, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. See, Prabhupada is following every single one of his own instructions. Read this letter carefully. I, the undersigned, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Remember, he's not calling himself Prabhupada. He's not. Disciple of Om Vishnupad Paramamsa 108 Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. He's calling his spiritual master Prabhupada. Came in the United States in 1965 on September 18th for the purpose of starting Krishna consciousness movement. For 1 year, I had no shelter. I was traveling in many parts of this country. Then in 1966 July, I incorporated this society under the name and style, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Briefly, ISKCON. Gradually, the society increased and one after another branches were opened. Now we have got 34 in numbers, 34 branches enlisted herewith. As we have increased our volume of activities, now I think a governing body commission, hereinafter referred to as the GBC, should be established. Okay? So Srila Prabhupada, one of the things about management is that you don't apply heavy management practices to a small project. Right? But as the project grows, you have to change your style. You can't keep managing in the same way. Right? You can have a preaching project with 10 devotees. Doesn't work the same with 100. Doesn't work the same with 1,000. Like the scale has to change. The management style also has to change. All the way from Madhvacharya in our disciplic succession, he has shown how he created 7 management teams for his one temple. And he said, you manage the temple 8, sorry, not 7, 8. And he said, one every 2 years. In Udupi Sri Krishna temple has a new management team every 2 years. So they have 14 years to do their bhajan and kirtan and deity worship and all that stuff. And 2 years, just 2 years to manage their spiritual master's temple. So it's an amazing management strategy. There are many other temples that follow this strategy where they have different devotees who get a break from the management. Right? But anyways, GBC should be established. I am getting old, 75 years old. Therefore, at any time I may be out of the scene. Therefore, I think it necessary to give instruction to my disciples how they shall manage the whole institution. They are already managing individual centers represented by one president, one secretary, and one treasurer. And in my opinion, they are doing nice. But we want still more improvement in the standard of temple management, propaganda for Krishna consciousness, distribution of books and literatures, opening of new centers, and educating devotees to the right standard. Therefore, I have decided to adopt the following principles, and I hope my beloved disciples will kindly accept them. So, Srila Prabhupada is actually doing this, establishing the GBC here in how Srila Prabhupada departed in 1977, but he set up the GBC in 1971, right? Well before his departure. He wanted to make sure everything was running fine before. Prabhupada then listed the names of the 12 persons who will form the GBC. From 12, the GBC has now expanded to 32, and it may further expand also, depending on how fast and widely ISKCON grows. 1. Shriman Rupanuga Das Adhikari. 2. Shriman Bhagwan Das Adhikari. 3. Shriman Sham Sundar Das Adhikari. 4. Shriman Satsarup Das Adhikari. 5. Shriman Karandar Das Adhikari. 6. Shriman Hansaduta Das Adhikari. 7. Shriman Tamal Krishna Das Adhikari. 8. Shriman Sudam Das Adhikari. 9. Shriman Balimardan Das Brahmachari. 10. Shriman Jagadish Das Adhikari. 11. Shriman Hayagriv Das Adhikari. 12. Shriman Krishnadas Adhikari. No sannyasis, only brahmacharis and grihasthas here. Okay, because he had sent the sannyasis out to preach. He didn't want to distract them with management responsibilities. Though some sannyasis have to accept that burden. These personalities are now considered as my direct representatives. While I am living, they will act as my zonal secretaries, and after my demise, they will be known as executors. Prabhupada further described the role of the sannyasis. I have already awarded sannyas or the renounced order of life to some of my students, and they have also got very important duties to perform in this connection. The sannyasis will travel to our different centers for preaching purpose as well as enlightening the members of the Center for Spiritual Advancement. Okay? So I'll pause here, make a note, and see if there's any questions or reflections. There's a microphone here, so please pass it around. If we have questions, reflections, anything that comes up. We have about 10 something minutes. Anyway, today is Ekadashi. Many devotees are fasting. It's not like everybody is in a rush to go for breakfast. If you have further questions, I'll be here. After that, I'll be in the bookstore for some time. Okay, questions, comments. Anandamaya Prabhu, would you like to add something? Okay, any others? He said no. Okay. Anybody has questions, comments, reflections? What came out of it? What came out of it, Prabhu? Switch on the mic. Yourself. What did you take away from this? Because if you don't say something, I will ask you to say something. Please, go ahead. Say one thing. One word. Okay, there's a devotee behind. After you, there's a devotee behind you. Wait, after you. Okay, we have two. 1, 2, 3. After you. Okay, we'll come back to you. How's that? The devotee in the pink shirt.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for a nice class and inspiring class. Prabhuji, you said when seniors are giving some service, we should always say yes and then figure it out. Sometimes service, again, we should take care that it should not go into the wrong direction. Means if we are not if we are not capable of enough to do the service efficiently, properly, then it becomes the disservice.
No, usually what happens is that a senior will not give you a service that they know you're incapable of performing. They are experienced in figuring out who should do which service. Right? So if someone gives you a service, it means that you're actually capable of performing that service. You have to just go out of your comfort zone a little bit and learn something. Like the first time I went in front of my Guru Mata, she said, make garlands. I was like, I've never made a garland in my life. Right? But she said, make. And then I was sitting there with the needle and the thread and the flowers. And then after 15 minutes, she saw that I hadn't made anything. And then she said, this is how you arrange the garland. So you compose your garland here. Then she taught me how to make a garland. It took another 10 minutes and we made it. Right? So it was done. So just accept the service and ask for help, if possible. Now, another devotee was saying yesterday that they already had assigned services and the other seniors were telling them to do something and something and something. So then that principal and that devotee applied it in an exemplary fashion. He told the other devotee, Prabhu, I have assigned services for the next 4 hours. I need to clean the rooms. I need to do this. I need to do that. Once I am done with it, if there is time, I will do what you are asking me to do. Okay, so in other words, this person was not their service authority who was telling them to do this or that. But they already had assigned services. So that brahmachari said, I will do this, I'll finish this, and then I will, if there is more time, I will come and ask you what I can do to assist you. Right, so it has to be done properly. In general, seniors are not, they're not foolish. Right? We are foolish. Our seniors are not foolish. So we should just say yes, and then, but you can also say, Prabhu, I've never done this before. Can you just show me how to do it? Right? So similarly, like the specific procedure for Guru Puja in the different temples is slightly different. So if somebody assigns you that service, you said, what is the procedure? Right? So you can ask and continue. Okay? Yeah. But don't say no. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
And that devotee in the maroon shirt in the back, just near the...
Good morning, Maharaj.
Hare
It's a
Krishna. Das, not Maharaj.
Oh, sorry. Sir, this is one of the spiritual question I want to ask out of contest. On behalf of my spouse, she is shy to ask you the question. She normally has a concern that whenever she try to do something out of context for someone or someone else or anyone to give the best, but she been taken misunderstood. She's one of the most misunderstood soul. What she believes is, whenever she try to do the good for the others, help others, or spiritually, or giving a knowledge to someone else, she's been misunderstood, and people become their her enemies, and she always feels disappointed whenever she try to give the best, but she get always misunderstood. So
Okay.
what is the context to come out of this the chakra, what I
Okay.
believe is?
First of all, don't instruct anybody who you don't have a relationship with already. Like for example, I cannot instruct my father. My father has seen me crawling around and messing my clothes. Right? So I may be Maha Das. I may be preacher in the Krishna consciousness movement. But to my father, I'm the same boy that he brought up. So I cannot too much preach to my father. Right? I have to preach to my limit of my relationship with him. Right? Another thing, somebody walks into the temple. Right? And let's say they are trying to stand on this, whatever, they're doing something interesting. Okay? And that they are not, that they are not supposed to be doing. Right? So you tell them, they say, "Aap kaun hote ho mujhe bolne wale?" Huh? So what you do is, there are wonderful security guards. And say, Prabhu, just point them, let them do their job. The security guard has the uniform, and the security guard will say, "Piche aao, piche aao." And then they will listen. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gave this example to me many, many years ago. Okay? So he said there are two circles in your life. One is called the circle of concern, and the other one is called the circle of influence. So if your circle of concern is bigger than the circle of influence, right? I'm concerned about the whole of India, and I cannot manage my own family, for example. Right? I'm struggling with that. But I'm concerned about India's problems. I will be unhappy. Because what can I do to solve India's problems? My circle of influence is only my family. And even that is limited. So if your circle of influence is so big, but your circle of concern is so big, but your circle of influence is small, then you will be eternally unhappy and feeling misunderstood. Isko wo bola, wo jhagda kar liya. Isko wo bola, wo jhagda kar liya. Huh? Ikkada fight, akkada fight, everywhere. Like this kind of things can happen, right? That's the first thing. If your circle of concern, right, is smaller than your circle of influence, then you can get everything easily accomplished. So when you see senior leaders come in and they say, "Can you do this?" Because they have that influence over that person, they will do it. It's easily done. But if our circle of influence is large and our circle of concern is too small, then that means we are neglecting our responsibility. You know what I mean? We have power to do much more, and you are keep not doing it. నాకు తెలుసు కానీ నేను చెప్పడం లేదు. I know that this person will benefit if I tell them something right now, but I'm not telling them that stuff. Then that is being selfish to avoid the headache of telling that person and then explaining to them all the clarifications after. You answer one question, 10 questions will come afterwards, right? You know that you answer one question, you are basically tied to them for who knows how long. They will write you 300 emails. Like I wrote my spiritual master 600 emails before I knew that he was my spiritual master. So my spiritual master could have said, "This fellow looks like a troublesome character. He's going to ask me too many questions." But no, his circle of influence was there. Circle of concern was there. So what we have to do, ideally speaking, is try to keep our circle of concern and circle of influence matched. Match it. right? Don't try to expand too much. Don't try to contract too much. Just try to match it. If circular concern is slightly smaller than our influence, that's better. Then we have time for our own extra sadhana. Are you chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day, Mataji?
Yes. Normally, in a month, I used to just come here for the peace of mind. Okay.
Okay,
So,
this peace of mind is just a side effect, Prabhu.
uh,
So, what is your name?
Kushal Sonpal.
Kushal?
Sonpal.
Kushal Sonpal.
Vaishnav.
Kushal Sonpal Vaishnav.
Yes.
Okay. Who from this community can take care of Kushal Prabhu? Here. Can you take care of him? Srivas Satipriya Prabhu. So, turn around. You look at this devotee Prabhu. He is a grahastha.
Yes.
Okay, just like you.
Yes.
He has a child. He understands your situation very well.
Okay.
Okay, so he is going to help you to figure out how to mold your life so that peace of mind is just a side effect.
Right.
Okay, would you like to have that kind of life? Peace of mind, side effect. There's much more in Krishna consciousness. Much more. We can't even begin to describe to you everything that is there
Right.
because you have to experience it yourself. अगर कोई रसगुल्ला आपको दिया, तो मैं बोलता हूँ ओ ये रसगुल्ला कितना स्पंजी है, ये रसगुल्ले में रोज सिरप डाले हैं, all of this, right? Today is Ekadashi, but still I'm saying rasgulla happens to be Ekadashi safe if you want to eat, right? But unless I give you one rasgulla and you taste it yourself, you say ये ISKCON वालों का रसगुल्ला एकदम जबरदस्त होता है. But you don't understand कि रोज वाटर के अलावा भी भक्ति है कृष्ण भगवान श्री कृष्ण की उसमें, इसीलिए अच्छा है.
Energy.
Right? So what I'm trying to say to you is, you cannot get peace of mind and cannot get the higher gifts of bhakti without experiencing it yourself, without trying it yourself, without doing something yourself. Huh? Do you have Srila Prabhupada's books?
I have a Bhagavad Gita, not
As it
Gopal.
is? You have the Bhagavad Gita as it is?
As it is in the sense.
Srila Prabhupada's book. Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita.
From here, I bought.
From here only, yes.
Yes,
That's
English
good.
version of this.
Very good. Yeah,
Bhagavad
very
Gita.
good. Please, yeah. So please, Srinivas, Prabhu, thank you very much. Any other
You're
questions? Any other comments? Over here. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Last one, then we can end.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, we could see in this today's narration of Lilamritam that Prabhupada, being the founder Acharya of this great institute called ISKCON, we could see that he was also very much concerned and worried about the way his disciples were behaving and dealing with him. So, if you see in the present context also, as small-time preachers and taking some responsibilities, we also come across many such instances, and that invariably very much affects our own sadhana and consciousness. We could see here a couple of times Prabhupada was down, he was morose and was not happy with the situation. He was literally telling that, please take me out from this place. So in the context of modern time preachers, those who are not so advanced, and at the same time they have been given such services to help others. So how far one should take it, and how much one can get free from such things and focus more on one's individual things, because we are not like Prabhupada to handle and try to correct the things in ultimate sense.
What's your name, Prabhu?
Maya Narsingh Rao. Maya Narsingh Rao.
Maya Narsingh Rao. Haribol. Prabhu, Narsingh Prabhu, if you have anxiety for Krishna, you are a most fortunate soul. Because Radha Madan Mohan has entrusted something to you and say, this is my headache, you take care of it. What do you think happens on Janmashtami? 1.5 lakh people came here. Now, Krishna has heard every single prayer. किसी को ये चाहिए, किसी को वो चाहिए, इधि गावल, आदि गावल, आदि गावल, आदि गावल, आदि गावल. He has heard all the prayers. Now he has a big list. Now he is looking around in the congregation and saying, ये किसको दूं? इसको किसको दूं? Right? So what he is actually doing, Radha Madan Mohan, what he is doing, and he's Sambandhadi Deva, right? So it's literally the fact here. So he's actually trying to figure out this Maya Narsingha, how can I make him, mine? How can he feel that he's mine? So I will give him I will give you a little bit of my headache to him. Very tiny fraction. It's very tiny fraction. But he has given it to you. So you should feel very fortunate that you have it. So if I have headache, something is happening, something is going on, I should be fortunate. I should feel fortunate first of all. Now the second thing is, after feeling fortunate, that's okay. That's a sentimental thing you can say. How can I actually do it? And how can I? So anybody who accepts a leadership role has to work on themselves. Like Srila Prabhupada gave us the formula: health, sadhana, service. When his health was impacted, he said, take me out of here. Right? So everybody has to do that. Health, sadhana, service. Now if your health is being affected, if your sadhana is being affected, then speak to your service leader and you can get strategies from them how to manage it. For example, Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Swami Maharaj was once upon a time a brahmachari in Durban. Durban Ratha-yatra is the largest Ratha-yatra outside of India. At that time, 2009, I remember, 2.5 lakh people were coming in the Ratha-yatra. Big one. So, you can imagine the Ratha-yatra chairman, committee chairman, has millions of things going on that day. So, what does he do? He wakes up at 1 o'clock when nobody else is awake, completes his chanting by 3 o'clock, right? And then he is ready to tackle anything. Right? For that one day, he may have sacrificed his sleep. So, and but the adrenaline will be there because the Ratha-yatra festival will keep you going. After 2 days, you can sleep a little extra, sleep a little bit earlier. Instead of sleeping at 9 o'clock, go to bed at 7 o'clock. Just retire, crash. And then you can be up next morning. Right? This happens. But in general, leaders should always take care of themselves and know that this thing is beyond my capacity to handle. I guess one person has contacted me on the internet and he was talking about something that was completely out of my league. Okay, so first I asked Radhesham Prabhu, what do I do with this? I says, where is it? He says, it's in Uttar Pradesh. Speak to Devakinandan Prabhu. Okay, so I handed that person over to Devakinandan Prabhu because that is the limit of what I can do. And now I am out of the loop. Right? I cannot handle this particular thing, what was going on there. Right? So I just managed it and moved on. So similarly, there are many other experienced leaders here. Right? In this temple community, there are Grihastha leaders, Brahmachari leaders, right? Vanaprastha leaders, like many leaders are here. So find out, Vaisheshika Prabhu says this best. He says, have a guru for everything. So we have a technology guru, we have a Prabhupada Lilamritam guru, we have a Mridanga guru, we have a deity worship guru, we have a Kirtan guru, we have a devotee relationship guru, we have a husband-wife problem guru, like all of these different things happen, right? Right? Children, we cannot be the experts in everything. You recognize that already, so that's why you're asking this question. Just find out who is my network of devotees around me, who is the expert in this service, who is the expert in that question. Like I have so many of them. So people think that I'm giving them the answers, but actually I'm saying, I'll come back to you, Prabhu. I don't know how to deal with this. Okay? And then I go ask others, because in some cases I can pass on, but in some cases, everybody that I'm dealing with, if I pass on to my mentor, then what is my mentor going to do? Right? So it's my duty to shield some of that on his instruction like that. But does it make sense? It's not Shastra, it's not necessarily Shastra, but it's like practical application of Shastra where we have to keep in mind we have to keep ourselves alive. Make sense? Srila Prabhupada, who is going to get a Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita after this? Anyone? Who's going to give a Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita? Do you have one? Okay. Is Venugopal Prabhu here? Prabhu, can you please make sure that he gets a Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita? Yeah. Please help them to get one. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.